Welcome back to the Beat the Often Path podcast. I'm your host, Ross Palmer. Today we've got a very special episode for you. We've finished 3 seasons of the show. I can't believe we've already had 36 different guests sharing amazing stories, from Grammy Award winners to founders of companies to people changing the world to composers and musicians and all kinds of interesting entrepreneurs and people who have done incredible things. I'm in awe of all the people we've had on this show. So we're going to do a little bit of a break from the normal programming this week. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a highlight reel of all of the best moments of season 3. So this is going to be action-packed. It's going to be super intense. It's going to be everything you hope for from a clip show or a highlight reel. So stay tuned for this very special episode of the Beat the Often Path podcast. You're doing charitable giving in one capacity, and you have the same kind of idea. How can I bring this digital?
So, remember when everyone in the beginning of the pandemic, people were doing like live stream concerts and they were like lame? Like, remember how lame they were in the beginning? Your friends would be like, come see me. And I'm like, I don't want to see you. So I wanted to do that, but I wanted to do it. And I tried it once. I tried it like once in March, just me, like early. And like 30 seconds, I was like, nope, X out. I can't do this. This is awkward. So I was sitting and then I saw that Reddit was doing the RPAN thing. And the thing I always regretted when I used to busk was I never really got to do, I was limited by my environment. I was limited by having one guitar with me, playing songs in a noisy New York City subway, fighting against the trains, walking my stuff, Mm-hmm. So I wanted to find a way to make it more like a show. I've done a lot of goofy stuff in my life, but this is one of the goofier ones that I'm kind of proud of the work that's been done.
What did you learn after 7 years of doing this every week that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Try not to overthink things. Like keep it simple. Remember to breathe. In a lot of situations where you just like, I'm like feeling anxious and I'm realizing I didn't take a breath like the last like 15, 20, 30 seconds. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, like breathe. Give yourself more time than you anticipate. Once you've given yourself enough time on a lot of occasions, then you can kind of, you're like, okay, this will be a lot more streamlined. But in the beginning, you definitely want to give yourself more time. It's okay to make mistakes. It's all like a learning process, and you end up kind of laughing about them after the fact. Granted, at least, as long as the magnitude of your mistake isn't like career altering.
Yeah. All right, so that's the myth of the depressed, or we talked about why do these people kill themselves, or why are successful people still depressed?
Yeah. I think people underestimate the kind of the burden of success. So as you get further away from your comfort zone, your baseline, whether that's really depressed or really successful, it feels unsafe, and you're not used to things working out. You're not used to all the things that come with success. When you start out, you often think, you have these goals, and when I reach that, then I'll be happy. Then my life will work out. And that's just not true, because it's not in the goal. It's in how you are. Oftentimes, as people get more successful, they get more unhappy because you feel so restless and so hopeless. And so, like, why am I not happy? So, yeah, and I think there's zero support for successful people, because everyone's like, what are you whining about? You have all that you dreamed of and that everyone else dreams of. But that's not really what makes people happy. So.
Well, there's 2 things that I kind of want to dive into there. The first one is you said you had 0 technical skills and you got into a technical field. So that right there is fascinating. So maybe explain, how did you actually begin? So you say, okay, there's a gap. It's a technical thing. I want to get involved. I know nothing about it. I've learned a lot. How did you actually start this business?
I made a lot of mistakes early days, but my strength was sales. So I went out there and sold. I got like 10 clients in like a month or 2, right? Like I was good at listening, asking questions, understanding the gaps, probing, and then uncovering what I discovered and offering a product or service that met their gaps, and people were paying me. So I knew I could sell.
Yep.
I just didn't know how to produce the results for these clients. So I was absorbing so much content at that time. It was stressful because I was putting in 16, 18-hour days. I didn't have, children at that time. It was me and the business, right? So timing was a lot of it. And I had support from my wife to try something new and not be stuck in something that I know I would be frustrated in, I guess. So I think that is also very important when you're starting a business. You need that solid foundation of knowing, there's comfort, but there's also that risk.
Do you feel that you've achieved some kind of a balance in your life? Do you feel comfortable about where you are in the work-life balance at the moment?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. And sometimes when I look into my heart, I think about the time when I was traveling the world as a DJ. And sometimes I say, "Whoa, yeah, that was really awesome to do." And still my colleagues, where I tell my story, they always, "Why do you work here at our place? Why are you not in the DJ life anymore?" But then I explain them how it goes, and sometimes, but I'm really happy with my life at the moment. I have 3 healthy kids, a beautiful wife.
Yep.
I can do my thing. I can make my music. I still make music. I still organize parties, so there's more freedom in my head.
For somebody who is either being forced to make a major change or sees one on the horizon or who has recently retired, anybody who is staring down the barrel of a very major life change and they don't know what to do, what advice might you have?
My advice would be dare to take the plunge. Dare to jump off the edge. It's never as deep as you think. It's never as shallow as you think. The water you jump into is never as hot or cold as you think. It's worth going. But you have to use your gut feeling. You have to really use your heart and your gut feeling and know that something is right and dare to do it. Just go for it.
Alrighty-dighty, folks. We're going to take a little break here, and I'm going to interject what could be a commercial if I actually had sponsors. Anyways, instead, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify, rate the show 5 stars, leave a nice review if you enjoy the show and its content and its guests. It's just a one-man band. It's just me over here doing all this stuff, finding the guests, interviewing. It's a lot of work to get this done, especially in the absence of a commercial here. So anything that you can do to help me grow this or support it or share it with people you like, I would much, much, much appreciate. I want to keep this free and keep it educational and keep it entertaining and all of those things. So if you could help me out by doing the things that you would do when you wanted to help somebody out like this, I would really, really appreciate it. So back to the highlight reel. Okay, so
yeah,
that's interesting because I don't know anything about the news. I don't know anything about how that whole business works. I just assumed that you'd show up, there's a teleprompter, you read what's on the teleprompter, and then that's the end of that. I didn't think there was any other part of that job, but there is.
Well, there's a lot of that because when you start in local television, you do everything. So it's more than just showing up and reading the news. I would do everything. I carried my own camera. I shot my own interviews. I would come back. I wrote my own stories. I edited my own tape. And then, you kind of have maybe one producer that puts the whole show together, but really you're doing everything. And then you would go on air and report it. So there's a lot that goes into it. This is the first job I've ever had where I don't just show up and talk on front of a camera. A lot goes into it. I do a ton of interviews. I don't have a teleprompter anymore. Everything we do is completely live and unscripted. I just am fortunate that I'm not carrying my own camera anymore and somebody is editing the video. When you start out, they call it like a MMJ because you are literally doing everything.
How important is other people's opinions of your work to you being happy?
Well, of course, you definitely want people to appreciate the music and enjoy it and the sets you play and everything. That's very important to me. It wouldn't define my happiness in my job, although in a way it would, because if the people from the factories, for instance, wouldn't like my music or my sets, they wouldn't book me. But if I regardless of the fact that aside, if I produce a song and I think it's really cool and I really like it, and other people don't like it, yeah. Fine, we have just different musical tastes. Not everybody likes the same stuff, so that can happen. But overall, of course, I do want people to enjoy the music I do and like the sets I play, and that's also important for the the career and just keep the only way to move forward is to people actually enjoy what I'm doing instead of me being the only one who enjoys it.
Would you say your passion then is entrepreneurship? You say you found a new passion. What in all of this would you say you're passionate about then?
So I think like from all of that, and I think one of the greatest takeaways that I could give or share to anyone is don't be afraid to explore. I'd reached certain sort of areas in the sort of paths I'd chosen, and although like I had done a lot and experienced a lot, there were certain times where I was not happy. And because of the success, I'd kind of hit that crossroad where like, do I leave this to seek happiness? And like, to be honest, where I am today, I mean, I'm also able to learn daily because I'm learning every day. I'm filling that gap of the need for new, fresh things. And I think as a person, I go through days where I don't have those big dips, because I'm doing the things that I love. And
that's the holy grail, yeah. Surrounding that decision, you said you had worked with a life coach, you had been thinking about doing this. How did you approach the actual switch? Did you say, I'm going to save up X amount of money so I have a little bit of a safety net? Or did you say, you know what, this is it, today's my last day, I quit? So how did you approach the transition?
So I would say that although it's been amazing and I've learned lots and I wouldn't change it, I would much rather do what I'm doing now than work for a big blue chip. I actually recruit for blue chips. I understand them really well, so I can put my experience and knowledge into something that I really like doing, but I'm kind of on the other side of the fence.
Right.
But at the same time, it's very, very tough, and it's not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't, because I have been for quite a while, literally out on my own with 2 children, no money, no childcare support, trying to get a business together. And there have been many times when I've thought, I'm literally going to go and get a job in a supermarket. I'll get a job doing anything so that I can get the money coming in.
Yep.
Because this is so stressful. Because no matter what sort of job you're in a corporate environment, even if you're in a sales job like I was before, you're not really in a sales job. You're in an account management job normally, where you get a basic salary, and if you miss your target, you kind of miss your target, but you still get your salary. When you're running your own business, if I don't bring business in, I don't have a salary. I have nothing.
I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, so we'll switch gears. That's very enlightening, very helpful, really cool stuff. I'm glad to know that. The business side, how long did it take you to build the business?
The thing is, like 10 years ago, I was in a college, in an engineering college, and I read this book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Very famous.
And it completely changed my perception about finance and life. And the very same day, I just dropped out of the college thinking that I'll be doing something of my own. And I lent some money from my seniors, my friends, relatives, family, and I started a business. I was 18-year-old then, and I made a bunch of mistakes over there. And within 6 months, I had to shut down the company.
Okay.
When I failed in that business, I understood that it's really important to think about the money since the beginning, right? Exactly what kind of problem you will be solving and how you will be making money out of it. That's the first step. Then I promised myself that I will never have any loan for myself and my business. I don't use credit card. I don't use any kind of a loan. We don't have any investment. It's completely bootstrapped. So when I launched my first book, and then of course we started making money, then of course I started having video courses program, and I was a one-man team. So since the beginning, my number one goal was to make money, make profit. And that's why, of course, till now, it is around 8 to 9 years now with bestsellingbook.com. We have around 35 to 40 people in house, right, working.
Big team.
And then we have around thousands of angel writers and editors in a circle of influence. Yeah. We don't pay them monthly, but of course, like whenever a project comes, like we reach out to them, and of course, this is how it works.
Right.
But yeah, like there are around 40 people on the monthly pay.
All right, that's it. That's the end of our season 3, folks. We're going to take a short little break here, recollect, get a new batch of guests going for the next season. Thank you all for your listening and for your continued support for these 36 episodes. I'm so excited that we've made it this far. I can't believe the range and talents of all of the people we've had on this show. As always, if you like the show, please comment, share, subscribe. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Rate the show 5 stars. Leave a review. Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, @TheRossPalmer. Anywhere you find me, drop me a line. Let me know if these shows are helping you, if they've inspired you, if you've enjoyed some of the content. I would really, really appreciate it. Also, if you know anybody who has an unusual success story that needs to be shared, send them my way. Or if you happen to have an unusual success story and you want to be a guest on this podcast, please drop me a line on Instagram @TheRossPalmer. So that's it for season 3. I will see you all in season 4.